You can follow every rule. You can save, plan, cut expenses, stay disciplined, and still feel stuck in the exact same place. Because effort alone doesn't build wealth. Alignment does. And most people have one silent problem working against them. A problem they don't see, but feel every single day. If you've been doing everything right and still getting nowhere, this video will finally show you why. There's a moment in everyone's financial journey where progress simply stops. Not because you're being reckless, not because you're making huge mistakes, but because every step forward feels like it gets erased the next month. You're budgeting, you're paying your bills, you're being responsible. You're not living some wild lifestyle. In fact, compared to the average person, you're doing exceptionally well. But something still feels wrong. Something isn't adding up. You're putting in real effort, doing everything by the book, and the results barely move. This is the point where frustration becomes dangerous. You start questioning yourself instead of questioning the system you're operating inside. You assume you just need more discipline, more motivation, more control. You think, maybe I'm the problem. But you're not. Because here's the truth most people never hear. You can do everything right on the surface and still stay stuck if the foundation underneath you is cracked. And that's where millions of people are trapped. They're not failing. They're not irresponsible. They're not lazy. They're simply fighting a structural problem with behavioral solutions. And that never works. Every person who feels stuck financially has something holding them down, something they rarely notice until it's already done years of damage. It doesn't scream. It doesn't explode dramatically. It just quietly pulls you back every time you try to move forward. For some people, that weight is debt. Not the catastrophic kind, but the slow, silent kind that drains momentum month after month. For others, it's lifestyle friction. Small expenses here, small upgrades there, a subscription forgotten. A weekend habit that doesn't feel expensive, but compounds like a tax on your progress. For many people, the weight is instability. Income that fluctuates, bills that catch you off guard, the constant fear that one bad month sends everything crashing down, and the most dangerous weight of all, the one disguised as normal life, the chaos you've gotten used to, the emergencies you accept as routine, the pressure you think everyone carries. But here's the twist. Most of these weights don't feel like weights. They feel familiar. They feel inevitable. They feel like that's just how life is. And that's exactly why they're so destructive. Because when something feels normal, you stop trying to fix it. You stop questioning it. You stop seeing it for what it really is, a chain quietly wrapped around your ankle. You think you're walking freely, but every step is slower. Every month is heavier. Every gain is temporary, so you push harder. You try to be more disciplined. You increase effort, believing it will overpower the weight. But friction always wins, every time. And until you identify the exact weight holding you back, your progress can never accelerate, no matter how hard you try. Most people believe money is a simple equation. Work harder, earn more, save more, grow more. But if that equation were true, effort alone would have solved everything years ago. You wouldn't feel stuck. You wouldn't feel behind. You wouldn't feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill that somehow rolls right back down every time you stop to breathe. The real truth is this. Progress has almost nothing to do with effort, and everything to do with friction. Friction is the force that works against you, even when you're doing everything right. It's the invisible resistance in your system, the thing that makes progress feel slow, heavy, or impossible. Maybe your expenses quietly rise every few months. Maybe your income is unpredictable. Maybe your savings get wiped out by surprises. Maybe you can't stick to habits because every good routine gets interrupted by something urgent. This isn't a motivation problem. This isn't a discipline problem. This is friction. And friction destroys momentum. It makes hard things harder. It makes simple things complicated. It makes good habits fragile. It makes progress temporary. You can be the most disciplined person in the world, but if you're working inside a system filled with friction, your results will look exactly like someone who doesn't try at all. That's why so many people feel the same frustration. I'm doing everything right. So why isn't it working? Because effort is not the engine of progress. Alignment is. The right structure can make your same effort produce 2 times, 5 times, even 10 times more results. The wrong structure makes even extreme effort produce almost nothing. You don't stay stuck because you're not trying. You stay stuck because your system is canceling out your progress faster than you can build it. And until the system changes, the results won't. Most people don't struggle because they're irresponsible. They struggle because they tried to build wealth in the wrong order, the same way someone might try to build a house starting from the second floor. At primero, tudo parece bem. The walls go up, the rooms take shape. You feel productive. You feel like you're moving. But the moment the first storm hits, everything collapses. That's exactly what happens with money. People try to invest before they stabilize. They try to grow before they seal the leaks. They chase progress before they create protection. And for a while, the illusion works. You save a little. You invest a little. You start to feel responsible, mature, finally on track. Then it happens. A car repair, a medical bill, a month when expenses explode out of nowhere, a problem at work, something you couldn't predict, but life throws at you anyway. And suddenly the progress you built over 3 months disappears in 3 seconds. You pull money from savings, you pause contributions, you cancel routines, you fall behind on bills, you break the system you were trying so hard to build. And where do you end up? Exactly where you started. Again. This loop isn't a personal failure. It's not a sign that you're bad with money. It's not proof that your income is too small. It's simply the consequence of skipping the part no one wants to do, building the foundation first. A foundation isn't glamorous. It doesn't feel like wealth. It doesn't make you look smart or financially advanced. It doesn't give you that dopamine hit of investing. But without it, every gain collapses under the first stress. The truth is harsh, but freeing. You didn't fail. Your foundation was never strong enough to support the weight of financial growth. And the moment you fix that, the moment you build the part most people ignore, everything starts to change. Stability is the part everyone skips because it doesn't feel like progress. It doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel like building wealth. It feels slow, boring, and almost invisible. But stability is the force that removes the friction that's been draining your money for years. And once friction disappears, everything else becomes easier. You stop fighting your finances. You stop restarting every few months. You stop cleaning up messes that never should have happened in the first place. Your routines finally stick. Your habits finally stabilize. Your money finally stays where it belongs. Stability is not about being perfect. It's about removing the chaos that keeps breaking your momentum. And it happens in 4 simple steps, the same sequence almost every wealthy person follows, whether they realize it or not. Step 1. Fix the leaks. These are the invisible expenses that drain you a little bit at a time. The subscriptions you forgot. The lifestyle upgrades that crept in silently. The spontaneous purchases that feel harmless but add up like a slow tax on your progress. You can't grow money that is constantly escaping. Step 2. Build a real buffer. Not $50, not $200. A buffer that protects your habits from collapsing the moment life throws something at you. A small cushion creates emotional safety, and emotional safety creates financial consistency. Step 3. Automate the essentials, bills, savings, emergency contributions, your core priorities. Automation is what keeps discipline alive even on your worst days. It removes willpower from the equation entirely. Step 4. Stabilize your core expenses. Predictability beats excitement. Consistency beats flexibility. When you know your base cost of living is under control, everything else begins to click. And here's what makes this sequence so powerful. Once stability locks into place, you stop losing progress during the chaotic months. You stop falling backward. You stop erasing your own wins. Stability doesn't make you rich. It makes you unstoppable. Before stability, money feels like a constant battle. Every dollar you save seems to disappear somewhere else. Every attempt at building momentum feels temporary. Every time you think you're finally getting ahead, something pulls you right back down. It's exhausting. Not physically, emotionally. Because deep down, you know you're trying. You just don't understand why the effort never sticks. But when stability finally clicks into place, the entire experience of managing money changes. Not slowly, not subtly. It changes dramatically. For the first time, you're no longer chasing progress. Progress starts coming to you. Your money stops leaking through cracks you didn't notice before. Your routines stop breaking every time life gets difficult. Your savings stop disappearing into emergencies. Your habits stop collapsing when your energy runs out. Suddenly, the same exact effort you were using before produces better results. The same budget now works. The same habits now stay consistent. The same goals finally move forward. Nothing about you changed. The system around you did. This is what most people never understand. Money doesn't feel hard because you're doing things wrong. It feels hard because your structure was working against you. But once the structure supports you instead of resisting you, everything becomes lighter. Saving becomes easier. Saying no to unnecessary expenses becomes natural. Investing stops feeling impossible. Growing money stops feeling like a gamble. You're no longer pushing a boulder uphill. You're walking downhill, carried by the momentum you created through stability. And then something even more powerful happens. For the first time in your life, money becomes quiet, predictable, calm. It no longer shocks you. It no longer scares you. It no longer dictates your emotions. Because when the chaos disappears, money stops being your enemy and starts becoming your ally. There's a moment in every financial journey where logic stops working and emotion takes over. You look at your situation and think, I just need to try harder. You convince yourself the problem is discipline, that if you could just be more consistent, more focused, more strict, everything would finally fall into place. But this is the trap that keeps millions of people stuck for decades, because the real issue was never discipline. It was misalignment. Here's what I mean. Your habits, your income, your expenses, your routines, your environment, they're not broken. They're simply out of order, just out of sync enough to cancel out your progress. The result? Every good habit becomes fragile. Every win feels temporary. Every plan falls apart the moment life gets stressful. And when that happens, most people blame themselves. They assume they're weak. They assume they're irresponsible. They assume they lack something everyone else seems to have, so they push harder. They tighten their budget. They add more rules. They create more pressure. They try to force the system to work through sheer willpower. But willpower loses every time. Not because you're flawed, but because you can't out-discipline a system designed to collapse. The sad truth is this. You can be incredibly responsible and still make no progress if your foundation is misaligned. And once that misalignment is corrected, once the order shifts the way it should have always been, your same exact effort suddenly becomes powerful. You feel lighter. You feel in control. You feel like you're finally moving in the right direction. This is why the journey feels impossible in the beginning and effortless once everything clicks. Not because you changed, but because the friction disappeared. Every person on the path to their first $100,000 hits the same moment, a moment that feels impossible to describe until you've lived it. It's the moment when the glass wall you've been pushing against for years finally cracks, not because you suddenly earned more money, not because you found a miracle investment, but because you finally removed the friction that kept the wall standing. The truth is that everyone carries an invisible barrier. A barrier built from tiny patterns repeated over years, a subscription you never canceled, a habit you never questioned, an emergency fund that was never big enough, an income that fluctuated just enough to create instability, a financial order that never truly supported your growth. Individually, none of these things seem powerful. Together, they become the wall, a silent structure that turns every attempt into a struggle. That's why you feel like you're doing everything right, but nothing changes. You're pushing against a barrier you didn't even realize was there. But here's what people don't see. The wall isn't unbreakable. It's just reinforced by chaos. And every time you fix a leak, every time you build a buffer, every time you automate something essential, every time you stabilize a part of your life, you weaken the wall without realizing it. It doesn't happen with noise. It doesn't happen with celebration. It happens slowly, quietly, from the inside out. Then, one day, without any big dramatic event, the wall breaks. You notice your savings actually stay in your account. You notice emergencies don't destroy your progress anymore. You notice investing stops feeling scary. You notice your life no longer collapses every time a single thing goes wrong. You feel something new, not excitement, not pride, but peace. The peace of finally moving without resistance. The peace of knowing you are no longer fighting your own system. And that's the moment everything changes. The moment when wealth stops feeling like luck and starts feeling like structure. This is the part no one tells you. The part that could have saved you years of frustration, guilt, and self-doubt. You stay broke not because you're lazy, reckless, or bad with money. You stay broke because you were following a system that was never designed to work without stability. You can't invest your way out of instability. You can't budget your way out of chaos. You can't save your way out of friction. And you absolutely cannot discipline your way out of a broken order. But most people assume they're the issue. They think, maybe I'm not responsible enough. Maybe I just need to try harder. Maybe I'm not smart enough with money. None of that is true. The reason you've been stuck is simple. The order was wrong. Stability comes before growth. Protection comes before progress. Structure comes before compounding. Alignment comes before acceleration. Once that order shifts, once the foundation is finally built, the same person with the same habits, same income, same mindset suddenly starts seeing results they couldn't reach for years. Because now the system works with you, not against you. This is why, after a certain point, money feels easier. Not because life magically opened doors for you, but because you removed the friction that was silently closing them. You weren't the problem. Your foundation was. And now that you understand the truth, you can finally change it. You can finally fix what needed fixing. You can finally build what needed building. And you can finally move toward the $100,000 milestone without feeling like you're dragging a weight behind you. If you've felt stuck for years, you're not alone. Millions of people are fighting the exact same invisible battle, pushing, trying, working hard, doing everything right on the surface, yet never breaking through. And for the first time, you finally understand why. It wasn't lack of effort. It wasn't lack of discipline. It wasn't lack of intelligence. It wasn't because you don't have what it takes. It was friction. It was the leaks you accepted as normal, the emergencies you tried to absorb without protection, the financial noise that disguised itself as everyday life, the unstable foundation that couldn't support your goals, the misaligned order that kept canceling out your progress. But the moment you fix those things, the moment stability comes before growth, everything begins to shift. You stop restarting every few months. You stop losing progress to small crises. You stop feeling like you're living on the edge of collapse. You stop fighting against your money, and your money stops fighting against you. This is the turning point people talk about but can't explain. The moment the wall cracks. The moment momentum carries you. The moment consistency finally works. The moment you look back and realize you were never the problem. The system was. And now that you know the truth, you don't have to live stuck anymore. You can build the foundation. You can remove the friction. You can create the stability most people skip. And once you do, your journey to $100,000 stops feeling impossible and starts feeling inevitable. If this video helped you understand what's really been holding you back, do one thing for me. Like this video and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people who are suffering silently through the same invisible barriers. And tell me in the comments, what's the hidden weight that's been holding you back? Your answer might be exactly what someone else needs to see.